Alright. Yep. I think this would be a really good raid. Actually, I picked up a deal for this Mosin on the flea market. Guy was selling it for really cheap. I think he meant to put another zero. He obviously forgot to put that extra zero. Sucks for him. Oh, go over there. Yo, what? What the fuck? Huh? Yo, what? What the hell? Oh my god! Where are they? Oh. Fuck. If you have played Tarkov, this has probably happened to you. You'll search the flea market for a Mosin and see a really good deal, so you buy it, just to load it a raid and realize that it's missing the front or rear sight. As you can imagine, this can become quite annoying after a while. This sort of scalping behavior isn't exclusive to Tarkov though. Scalping has been a very common thing in open marketplaces for some time, and a more modern example that we can look at is people reselling Stanley cups for obscene prices, upwards of $300. But the difference between that and Tarkov is that there's usually a reason behind scalping in Tarkov. You see, there are three categories that can define why a person would scalp. If we take a look at this official BSG Venn diagram, we can define three categories for scalping, being spite, greed, and survival. These three on their own are okay, but once mixed can create something new. People that are spiteful and greedy tend to be chaotic in nature. Those that are greedy and trying to survive are thought of as intuitive. Those that are spiteful trying to survive are usually demented. But if we take a look in the very middle of this Venn diagram, we can see a lord upon a throne, one to rule them all, the King Rat. So I actually got this little notebook here where I jotted down some of the best stuff to sell on the flea market. So before I get into it, let me explain this method a little bit. It's well known that the easiest way to get away with a crime is deception. So whenever we do this, we want to make sure that the gun is still in functional operation, meaning that it isn't highlighted in red and saying non-functional. A good example of this is if you take off the pistol grip of any gun, it renders it non-functional. But if you take just the dust cover off of an AK, it still works, so we want to make sure that we're taking off parts that will keep the gun functional. Alright, first up, I have all the 9x39 guns. So that's going to be the 9A91, the VSK94, the VSS, and the AS Val. So pretty much all of these guns have very proprietary parts. All these guns are locked behind Prepper level 4, meaning that most of the parts are locked behind Prepper level 4. So things like the stocks, the pistol grips, the handguards, all those can be removed and sold separately, and you can only get them from Prepper level 4. Now I know I just said that we can't sell a non-functional firearm, but the difference between these firearms and the other ones we'll talk about is that you need level 4 Prepper to buy the firearm in the first place, so most people are going to be buying it off the flea. If you give them a good deal and list for the lowest, somebody's going to buy it and they're going to need the replacement part. So naturally, they're going to look for that part and have to buy your listing. That's where you scalp them. The 545 SAG AK. So in terms of selling a functional firearm to get away with the crime, the dust cover is not required for the gun to function, and the dust cover isn't sold by anybody. So if you pick up a SAG AK, make sure you sell the dust cover separately. Now if you want to sell a non-functional firearm, there are other parts too, such as the handguard and the SAG tube. Next up is the RD704. So for the RD704, the same rules apply as the SAG, except the RD704 is banned on flea. Alright, now next up is the T5000. So all the T5000 parts, they're proprietary, and there's only one option you can use. So things like the muzzle brake and the stock are not required for the gun to function, so you can sell those separately and somebody's going to want to buy them if they want them. The same thing goes for the DVL-10. You can take the stock and the muzzle device off that as well. Alright, so now we're going to get into a little bit of a different category, the Mosin. Now, most people buying a Mosin are just going to buy it off of Prepper, but if they happen to go into the flea market and you have one for sale, make sure you take off either the front or rear sight, but don't do both. The reason is the gun is a lot more usable if you take both off, as opposed to just one. Okay, now there's one last method for maximizing rubles off of guns found in raid. There's a lot of guns that are banned on the flea market, but the parts that come on them are not banned. So if you find something like, say, a Mark 47, make sure you take off all the parts that are non-interchangeable. An example would be the handguard or the barrel. Then once you take those off, you can just sell the rest to mechanic. You'll make a little bit more rubles than if you just sold the whole gun to mechanic instead. This rule can be followed for all the firearms that are banned on flea. You'll usually end up making more rubles that way. Anyways, thanks for watching this little guide, and make sure if you want any other types of rad tips, just leave a comment and I'll see if I can make a video on it.